So I got Clampy. This is our off-road Dodge Ram Charger on 35s. Bought it off a kid who probably had the best of intentions but not the greatest of skills. But this is pretty much a street legal off-road toy. I've been messing around with it, and one of the things I noticed, first off, is I'm never going to tow with this thing. So to help it off-road, I'm going to take that off. And then the second thing is, this bumper is now so bent up that I can't shut the hatch anymore. So we're going to have to fix that too. And I don't know, I'm going to take a look. I got a new set of tail lights from the local pick-apart. Right here, I got some of these tail lights. And I might put them back in here, because what the guy did was he just welded a piece of sheet steel the whole way around the original taillight buckets, which if I feel around, there's a tab, and there's a tab, and I think there's one over here. There's at least 3 of the tabs still left. I think he cut the 4th one off to fit these lights in, which are probably a little more functional as far as easy to replace, but I don't like having my reverse lights down here, and I don't like these reverse lights, so we're not sure if I'm going to tear them off or keep them. But anyway, first step first, this has got to come off, and then we'll see what we're dealing with as far as bracketry. That's going to come off, and I picked up all these steel drops at my local steel yard. $1/4 pound, can't beat it. The whole stack here is like 40 bucks. So let's see where this goes. Oh, and there's no decent place to pull from back here either. If I get stuck, I mean, you could wrap around a ball hitch or that piece of whatever's welded on there, but I don't really trust any of that. So I'm going to add some mounts to it for some shackles. I already got the shackles. We'll see where this goes. Alright, I wanted to spend a lot of the day working on this bumper, but that just didn't happen, mainly because this hatch was all kinds of jacked up. I thought it would be I thought once I took the bumper off, the hatch would shut. That didn't happen, so I bent the hinges. That didn't happen. If you can see here, I had to wall out my adjusters and get them adjusted just about as far as I can, and then some, to get it all to fit. But anyway, it shuts now. Spent half a day working on that. So anyway, where are we at? Well, this here is what, about 3/8 steel, and it goes back here to them bolts. I had to notch it for the body mount, but it's a start. Probably the most complicated part. From here on, everything else, I just got to work around what my imagination decides it should look like, which I'm thinking it's going to come out pretty far, and so I might build a tire carrier off it someday. But anyway, come off here, straight across to here, and then angle back that way. That's kind of how I'm feeling this thing should look. And that way it's a little more functional, so that way I can hit and slide off. And then I'm hoping to make it, no wider than this here. This is a 3-inch stock, but 3 inches at the face of it, and then angled down towards the bottom of the fuel tank here. So that way it's kind of like a skid plate. Eventually one day maybe I'll move the fuel tank up into the passenger compartment, but that day's not today. We're going to leave it down there for now. But anyway, it'll give me a good slide off and a ramp off if I do come down off an obstacle. And a couple people might mention and say, oh, I'd use 12 bolts and I'd weld it directly to the frame and all this other stuff. Well, here's the thing, shear force. Shear force on a 1/2-inch bolt is approximately 7,000 pounds. So I got 2 bolts per side. That's 14,000 plus another 2 on the other side. That's 28,000 pounds. If it's a grade 5, these are grade 8s, I believe. These are actual bumper bolts. I might go get some other bolts too, some actual super duper new grade 8 bolts. But anyway, as a grade 5, that's 28,000 pounds of force that these bolts are supposed to carry. The frame itself is only maybe 1/8 inch. So between the bolts and the brackets, the weakest part of this whole setup is actually just going to be the frame. I mean, there's literally nothing weaker than the frame at this point, which is kind of what you want to a certain extent. But anyway, a lot of you guys build these things out of like 3/4 inch plate and 15 feet of tubing and all that other happy hoopla. All you're doing is adding weight. You're not adding strength, because once you get over about a 1/4 inch plate, which I know I did here, but I'm talking about for the actual bumper itself, even with a 12,000 pound winch, they only recommend you attach it to a 1/4 inch plate with 4 bolts. 4 bolts. And look what size those bolts are for your winch. Because if they're not bigger than a 1/2 inch, guess what? You don't need bolts bigger than a 1/2 inch. Or else you just pull your winch off the front of your truck. And that makes for a crappy day. So that's the hardest part. Anybody can make something strong, but at a certain point, especially when you're dealing with vehicles and trailers and stuff, you stop adding strength and you just start adding weight. And weight kills horsepower, kills off-road ability. Oh, here's another thing to show you. That tow hitch that was on the back there, it's probably a really good thing I never towed anything with it. I don't know if you can see this here. Woo! Yeah, it's pretty well rotted off. Alright. Most of you have heard of CAD. I'm going to introduce you to FAD, which is foam board aided design. I just had a big old chunk of foam board laying around from, I don't even remember what I got it for. But anyway, here's what I got. There's the bottom of the fuel tank. I want a plate here to kind of keep the fuel tank protected in case I back into something. But at the same fact is it's going to keep, not interfere with my approach or departure angle as much as possible. This is pushed out probably a little further than most people would have, but I want to utilize this as a step as well, so that's why. And I really don't have to give any other reasons. It's my bumper. But anyway, that is where I'm at with that. And this is probably where I'm going to go ahead and lop these off. I'll take an actual measurement and transfer it over to the other side, get out the plasma, zip, 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 and then cut these out, tack them on, and lay a plate across the top and make sure it doesn't interfere with any of this, and go from there. Alright, let's see how it works. Alright, once again, trying desperately to maybe slightly overbuild this without getting too overboard. Okay, I think last time I showed you these mounts, and I had another plate tacked up here, which is right there. To kind of lift this up a little bit higher than actually in line with the frame. I thought that would help with the clearance for the step up in. But the problem is, well, here, I'll demonstrate the problem. Sorry about that. Is that this thing has a hatch, much like a minivan or a station wagon. But anyways, I had this lifted up another inch, and then you couldn't get your hand under to pull on this. It was tight up against. You couldn't fit your fingers in there, so I had to drop it back down just a little bit. Not exactly what I wanted, but you know, it is what it is. Anyway, getting back to it. Made my mind up of a couple things. One thing is, originally I was going to come down and then back, which I know sounds great, but it creates a practical problem. My reverse lights, because these were damaged and have been replaced with these boat style lights, actually was a very good idea for off-road. Those are cheap and easy to find. My reverse lights were in the bumper, and they look like that. I don't know if I'm going to reuse these or not, just for the time being. Anyway, I actually hate them, but cost is a factor in everything I do. So, do I hate them enough to never use them again? The answer is probably not. So, what I would need to do is at least come down far enough where I can get those lights in. And then I'm going to have to do something about a license plate. I don't know if I'm going to even try to reuse that or not. Definitely probably, try to reuse that or not. Definitely probably try to reuse the wiring at least. Hopefully it's still wired okay. But I do need some form of light source for my license plate. I'd like it to drop down far enough, or maybe angle back enough still to give this some protection, because, you know, it's my fuel tank. But one thing I have decided, I was just going to make it square off. When I first looked at it, I'm like, you know what, having the corner squared off like this for the style truck that it is, let me get the side where there's not so much sunlight. You know, it didn't look bad from, you know, back here. It really didn't look too bad until I realized that's going to suck to catch your hip on. So what I think I'm going to do, let's just take maybe from here on over to there and cut that, and then weld a plate up here over the side, and then that way it'll protect just a little bit of this side piece here, maybe keep it a little covered. It don't have to be spectacular, but this is my first bumper build. I just got to decide how far down I want to come. This is the center plate. This is where the actual anchors for the clevises are going to be mounted. So it's a pretty hefty size of about 3/8 material. That way you can pull against this all day and hopefully never bend it. I mean, if you do bend it, whoo-hoo, you probably broke stuff on your truck. You know what I mean? Like, this whole bumper was just pulled off the truck and chunks of the frame are laying in the woods. So you got bigger problems than oops. Oops is a problem. But anyway, that's where I'm at, and I'll update you guys as I keep going. Do you ever have one of those moments where you sit there and something's kicking you in the head and kicking you in the head? And what I mean by that is you can't figure it out, you can't figure it out, you keep playing with stuff, you keep playing with stuff, you keep playing with stuff, and all of a sudden there one day, you mess with something completely different and it fixes it. Well, I didn't get a whole bunch of work done on the bumper today because the truck wouldn't start. And I've been fighting out a carburetor issue, and I've been fighting it and fighting it and fighting it and fighting it. Adjusting here, tweaking here, adjusting timing, bought a timing light, bought everything else, trying to get this thing figured out. And whenever it wouldn't start today, I finally linked it down to the fuel pump wasn't working. It's got an electric fuel pump because the engine in this 84 is out of an 89. Well, anyway, fast forward, changed out the fuel pump. Now the carburetor works perfect. So, there you have it. But anyway, here's what we got today. I've decided I'm going to recess this center section. And I was originally just going to recess the license plate. Actually, I didn't know if I was going to do that for sure, but that was one of the thoughts that was in my head, was to recess the license plate. But then, Amazon, I got these nifty little going to keep my hand over the brand. LED fog lights that I'm going to use actually as reverse lights, because the current situation is I don't have no reverse lights because reasons. But anyway, I'm going to put my lights here, so that way everything's kind of recessed. I'm not sure how far I'm going to recess it, but this is the design I'm going with. Now just picture this one on this side. I know I got one cut out there, but that was the original idea, and I didn't like how it looked off center, so we went with this one. I might widen it out just a hair more, because we're kind of close. By the time I run a well bead through there, it might be too close. Sorry, by the time I run a well bead through here, it might be too close. But I think it'll turn out really good. We're going to do the rest of this with flux core wire too. Being as how I'm trying to work on the edge of my garage, you can see that the air porosity. I don't get a good flow out of my nozzle when the wind blows, and it just blows my gas away. So I think we're just going to go, I'll grind that little bit out, and then we're going to flux core the rest of this. I just bought another spool, and if you're going to buy welding wire, if your welder will do it, just go ahead and buy the big 10 or 11 pound spools. Don't keep messing around with little bitty spools, because you could buy like a 1 pound spool at Lowe's for like $7, or you could buy an 11 pound. I think they were 10 or 11 pound spool wire. Flux core wire was $36 for 10 pounds, so that's like half. I mean, I know you're not going to need always 10 pounds, but you will use 10 pounds eventually. You know what I mean? But anyways, let's get busy. Alright, it's been a little bit since I've filmed last, and I apologize for it, but yeah, I kicked the truck out of the garage, because from here on it's going to be pretty much welding. The mounts are built, and they're welded, well on this side they're welded pretty solid. I was using some flux core, gotta scrape the gunk off that, but not too bad. We'll clean these up some more, get them ready to go on. That's going to be the recess for the lights and for the license plate. And that is actually over there. I'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, we're going to weld this piece across just so nothing moves, hopefully. As far as the mounts go, they don't move in or out or anything. Came off the truck fairly easily. I'm actually kind of impressed. I might redo some of these welds now that I can move this thing around in position. Weld up some of the back side of this with a little bit of less heat, and then put my good solid welds on the outside. And this is the side plates I put on. I decided to leave this top portion open so it kind of wraps the truck, and I think it looks pretty good that way. I'm also going to add a brace going from here to here somewhere, maybe into this corner. Actually, set it in this corner. I'm not. We'll tackle that road and get it, but at least into somewhere like here, so that way a little bit more strength. I was afraid of how heavy it'd be. It's honestly not that heavy. I can lift it and move it. But anyway, getting over to here. See the ABC, no, don't pay attention to that one. The lights will go somewhere right about here. So we have the two reverse lights with my license plate in the center, and I bought those fancy little LED bolts that attach here that'll light it up. So I think that'll look pretty slick. I'll try to lay my best welds on the inside here. Best looking welds anyway. And then it'll sit recessed in about that far. Alright, well, nothing to it but to do it. Let's get going. Alright, Sunday afternoon, and this is where we are. It's upside down, by the way. When in doubt, move your welding project to where you can weld the easiest. And I seen signs of it coming, but I choose to ignore them. Right about there, I run out of gas. Now, I could finish it up flux core. Yeah, grind the rest of that out too. Could finish it up with some flux core wire, but let's put it this way. I've been working on this thing for a couple days, and it's Sunday, and I'm going to take me a little break. Only got a little bit of welding left to do. This is a good place to stop. This is where I welded my mounts on, and they are, oh, maybe you can't see it. There you go. Very close to in line with the frame. The inboard side just a little bit. I put another pass over here to fill this in. But originally I was going to grind all my welds smooth and make it like a smooth face bumper. But after looking at some of my welds, you know, they're not too bad. I think I'm just going to leave them. I mean, they're not perfect. Very far from it. That's a more of a gap than I wanted, but we'll be able to weld her up. And that's just trim. There ain't no structure here, so to speak of. But anyway, pretty good. I finished welding this piece up over into here and all the way down there. Weld up this little bit, wire wheel it, then we'll shoot her paint her on the inside first, and the outside second, and then hang it back on the truck. I think we'll like it. I like it. Definitely more of a project than I thought of. But that's where I'm at. Have a good day. And I'm going to go get my kids and play with them for a while. Alright, I know I haven't been doing any videotaping in a while, and I apologize about that. Actually, let me turn on a few more lights real quick, because it's kind of dark. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, I don't think it turned out too bad. I mean, the camera does it some justice, but I'd say that sucker looks pretty good. I'm tickled with it. I mean, it's not perfect. There ain't machine welds. I mean, you can see that some of them are a little lumpy. But it looks very, very industrial, which I think is awesome. See there, it's a Sharpie marker bled through the primer. And yeah, I'm painting it cold, and there's a run or two in it. But I don't think I have to worry too much about it. What the heck was going on here? Looks like I have a little, oh, what do you call it? Fish eyes. Fish eyes. But it'll be alright. We'll take care of that, but yeah. It looks, I like it. I like it a lot. I might even sand out a few of these little bigger runs real quick before we move on. But, yeah, I should probably ground that off, but who cares? If anybody notices that over the course of the rest of the truck, I'm just going to shoot them. It's a joke. Kind of makes you wonder if knocking all those BBs off with a grinder was worth it whenever you're going to see all that. But you know what? I don't care. Gloss paint was on sale, so I painted it in gloss. Like I said, it's going out in the woods. It's going to get thumped and bumped. So, yeah. But I can't wait to get this thing. I'm really tickled with how this thing turned out. This thing looks freaking spectacular. And once I get the lights in it, it's going to look even better. Get a couple of nice shackles hanging from it. And go beat her in the woods. This thing's freaking awesome. Oh, and I decided not to guss it too much more. First off, it's getting ridiculously heavy. Second off is the actual frame of the truck comes to, I'm not getting a good shot at this, right about here. So you only really have this little bit, and then it's welded solid to this top plate the whole way, and then the whole way down. So there ain't gonna be any shifting in it. You know what I mean? But all right, I'm gonna get one more coat on it. And then I'm going to clean up real quick and then go in the house and get some shut-eye. Because 3 a.m. comes early. Alright. Wonderful Pennsylvania weather. It's a little bit before Thanksgiving and it's just going to rain all day and it's cold. But those of you from Central PA and about the Altoona Crescent area know that Thanksgiving's a big day for off-roading and possibly alcohol consumption. So I really want to get this thing done and get it on the truck. I got one or two more things to do real quick to it, and then see if we can get a sticker put on it and get to driving it. Alright, let's see what I come up with. Alright, here's how I decided to hang it kind of level. I want it actually a little bit down because I got to get around that frame bracket where the rivets are. But anyway, one strap through each shackle, and then one ratchet strap to hold it level. All right, let's see if we can get it on the back of that thing. So, in case you couldn't tell, sorry, I'm in the picture. In case you couldn't tell, it's been a couple months. It's about June now. I've had the bumper done for a few months, and I wanted to give it a good, thorough review. Did it work? Was it worth it? Would I do it again? Would I do it again? Yes. I'm one of the few people that say I did enjoy this build, and for the cost of a custom bumper for this truck, this thing was hundreds if not thousands of dollars under budget. Now, did it work? Yeah, I mean, it works. I mean, this thing's solid. I've been off-roading with it a couple times. I have yet to even so much as put a dent, ding, anything else in. I've scratched the paint up. That's about it. These D-rings pull forever. I got 4 grade 8 bolts holding it on, 4 grade 8 Allen heads. And before you go jumping, all you keyboard commandos, 4 grade 8 Allen heads was all that held the tow hitch that was on this to begin with. So I think it's more than stout. We'll probably bend the frame before we ever bend this bumper. The one thing I didn't get to show before were these LED backup lights I used and the LED license plate lights. I'd like to show you those here in a moment. I'm going to show you the LED license plate lights real quick, and then I'll go to the backup lights. Hold on one second. Check this out. I mean, there's a lot of light. This one's out now. There's a lot of light coming out. This one is unfortunately out. I'll have to fix that. Didn't realize that when I was shooting this video. It just goes to show you I do use this thing. But now for the reverse lights, and I think you'll get a kick out of those. Yeah, buddy, these lights are brighter than my headlights. It's awesome. I can see behind me better than I can see in front of me in the middle of the night. So, did it work? Did it work? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. Would I do it again? In a heartbeat. Well, that's it for the GSE Garage. Have a good day and enjoy your next project.